Hey, you filthy animals. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday! Hold on. Greetings. Crom was first in the chat. Zoe101 Dog with a Blog was next. Bob Bruce, Curtis Hayes, Drewman FPV, Doubles FPV, Uriel, King Dingaling, Frank Nicholas, Feigning Goat, Levster, Hockey Rounds, Himox, Scotty Scott, CVFPV, Brandon's Baked Beans is in the house, MX Pickles, McMucus Every Day with Bruno, Douglas 6, 661 FPV, RT McKinney, Kevin J, Shane and Mindy Hale, Islander, Verbalance. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming. Tonight, we're going to take a look at whether or not this will probably be the end of like the content that I make surrounding the Air65 Champion, since they only made 1,000 of them, right? And like you can't get it anymore, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to continue to pour time into this thing. But I'm super curious. Oh, the motors are direct soldered. Oh my god, why me? Why? Oh, All right. Change of plans. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Am I willing to cut a set of motor plugs? Man, I don't want to solder on a set of motors. Oh my god, why? Why do people solder motors onto Cinewhoops? Well, shit. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not, this is gonna stay together. Damn it, I completely forgot about that. At some point, I'll get one of the Air AIOs that has the motor plugs on it. And I'll do an Ultimate Freestyle Cinewhoop build with that. Oh my god. Yo, that's so annoying. Okay. I'm going to completely change this live stream. Because this is a great setup. This AIO with these motors is awesome. These motors make good power. I know what we're going to do. We are going to put propeller. We're going to put Gemfan 1210s onto this. All right, so we're going to do two things. We're going to compare the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers, the new HQ ultralight props, to the Gemfan 1210 biblades. Again, we already kind of did that, but I've spent more time on these propellers, and so, yeah, we're going to compare props tonight. We are also going to, once this setup is on these biblades, I'm going to show you guys how you can basically have your own little bench test set up using ESC telemetry and the RPM data that comes back into Betaflight. And what we're going to do is we're going to spin these 30,000 kV Beta FPV motors up with these Gemfan 1210 props on them. We're going to see what kind of RPM they make. And then we're going to take a different rig. We could do it with this one with 36,000 kV motors. Maybe we'll do it with a couple different rigs. And we'll take a look at the RPM that they make. And the premise behind, like, is changing over to HappyModel 32,500 0702s an upgrade or not? The premise is basically how under-spec'd are these 30,000 kV Beta FPV motors, and or how over-spec'd are the HappyModel 0702s. So the main premise of the live stream remains. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna keep this live stream named what it's named, because the only point of variability here is going to be the only way that the way that I'm going to test this could be screwed up is if the Air65 AIO magically makes more power than like a 2G4. And we've already messed around with that. And we've already seen that between the X12 and the 2G4, they turned the same, with the same motors, they were turning the same RPM. And that's comparing 12 amp FETs to 5 amp FETs. So if there was going to be a situation where different AIOs produce different amounts of power, it would be there. It would certainly not be a Beta FPV 5 amp AIO versus a HappyModel 5 amp AIO. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So we can still do this. We can still test whether or not swapping out these 30,000 kV Beta FPV motors to... Oh, all right. There is a kink in the plan. and that is direct soldered versus motor plugs. Do I have any HappyModel motors that are direct soldered is the question. If I do, then we'll be okay. And I think I might. Let's take a quick look. Ah, I'm a genius. So I do. On this guy right here. Perfect. This has direct soldered 40,000 kV, I think, motors. This is the crazy. All right, 40,000 kV. If 40,000 kV HappyModel motors don't make more RPM than 30,000 kV beta FPV motors, then I don't know who should be slapped, beta FPV for under-speccing their motors so much, or HappyModel for over-speccing their motors so much. Somebody needs to get slapped if that's the case. We can probably use math at that point, once we get those RPMs, to kind of figure this out a little bit better, too. But I leave that to you people. I don't use math. That's you guys. So yeah, cool. We can still do it. What I was one of the things I was actually really looking forward to was swapping a Cockroach V3 frame onto this, and seeing if it gains or loses weight, and seeing if that changes the flight characteristics. This is the Air65 frame on here, which is okay. It's totally fine when you pair it with the taller motors. So we're okay. We're good. We can I can still test whether or not We Bleed Screamer 0702 32500s are an upgrade or not. In a bit of a roundabout way. We'll test direct soldered 40,000s, and if there's not a giant difference in the RPM between 40,000 kV HappyModels and 30,000 kV beta FPVs, what that basically means is the 32,500s would not be an upgrade. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And in the process of doing so, we will compare some propellers. Cool? Everybody okay with that? If you're not, sucks to be you! So these screamers are gonna go on something else. I'm not sure what. I'll put them right here, and then I'll find a home for them. Those are the new screamers with the 1.5mm motor shafts, which is why I really want to put them on something. Cool. Let me get caught up on the chat. Hey, this is my full-time job. If you like this and you would like to see it continue, you got to show up. I'm showing up 4 times a week. You got to show up and you got to support me. You got to click thumbs up. You got to subscribe. You got to click the bell. You got to hang out, talk to people in the chat, leave a comment maybe if you're watching this after the fact. And or you got to head on over to CiottiFPV.com and support me by either just clicking some affiliate links, changing your bookmarks for when you go to Amazon, for when you go to Get FPV, for when you go to Pyrodrone, for when you go to any of these websites. Change your bookmarks to my affiliate links. If you don't use bookmarks, you can just start typing in a website and it'll suggest the rest. You can remove those suggestions. All of the browsers will allow you to remove the suggestions. And then you're going to hit these affiliate links a couple times in a row. And then that's going to trick your browser into thinking that when you start typing Amazon, you actually want to go to the nut grabber here on my Amazon affiliate link. You can also join my Patreon. That helps me a ton. Actually helps me the most. You can buy some stuff from Etsy. You can work one-on-one with me on Fiverr if you really want to learn FPV stuff very quickly and you want to get good actual information, not trash information that you get from Facebook and Reddit. You got to buy yourself a t-shirt or something like that on Teespring. That's how you show up for me. I'm showing up for you. You show up for me. We'll show up for each other. We'll hang out forever. What do you say? This is a lesson that I learned from my dance instructor, Wilder, who unfortunately took his own life a couple weeks ago. I took Maggie and I realized that Maggie realized that we took Wilder for granted. We became friends with him, but we were friends with him at his dance class, and what we took for granted is that he showed up for us every single Sunday, and he was there every single Sunday. And we didn't have anything going on Sunday nights, but there were Sunday nights that we were just being lazy and we didn't go and we didn't show up for him. And now that Wilder's gone, we both have deep regret for that, especially because we didn't show up for Wilder after the election when a lot of people were very negatively affected. And so, yeah, that was a life lesson that I will never forget. If there's something in my life that I want to continue, that I enjoy, I will do whatever it takes to show up for that and support whatever that is. And if that thing doesn't stay around, I will have zero regret, because I will know that I showed up for that thing, for that person, for that whatever, to the best of my ability. And so there you go. There's your potential life lesson for the evening. I actually just got back from Wicked West, the West Coast Swing dance class tonight. Maggie and I are kind of sort of taking over the Sunday night dance classes as like kind of instructors. And so I've actually dropped back down to the beginner class on Wednesday nights, because the folks in the Sunday night class want to learn West Coast Swing. And so by dropping down to the beginner classes, I'm now paying attention to how they're teaching it. I've always been a student in those classes for like the last 6 months. I have not really paid much attention to how the instructors have been instructing. I've been paying attention to like how the hell to move my body in a way that they're, showing me how to do it. And so yeah, tonight was really, really cool to go with a different mindset of like learning how to teach this stuff. And if you've ever done that, if you've ever like mindfully figured out how to teach a thing that you love, you'll know that you gain like a deeper understanding of it, and it's really, really cool. You would think it would be like kind of a waste of time, but it really isn't. Like you really learn the nuts and bolts of it. To be able to teach something well, you have to really know it. And when it comes to dance, I don't really know it. I just started this year. I'm super green. But this is a really interesting kind of challenge that I'm really excited about. And it also feels really good to take this like thing that Wilder created, this and just help it move forward. And I also have come to find out that so he had dance classes pretty much every night of the week all over Atlanta. And I just kind of found out that the other dance classes, they're also trying to figure out what to do here, they're using us as like a model of like what to do, and how to kind of keep this thing going, which is just unbelievable. Like that's super like flattering and awesome. And so yeah, hopefully all of those classes will continue. All of those communities that he helped bring together, all of those friends, all of those people will keep showing up on the night that they're used to showing up, and hanging out and having fun and smiling and stepping on each other's toes and having a good time. So yeah, cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. In the chat, if you want to talk to me directly, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. King Dingaling tagged me and said, yo, so Gemfan has a 35mm S in tri-blade and biblade now. Maybe it's time to try Meteor 65 Pro for indoor/outdoor with 30,000 kV RS0802s. Also hope you get to fly the new HD0 Mobula 7 soon. So I've got a Race Day Quads shopping cart almost at the free shipping mark. And I've already got those. I just happened to see them the other night. I've already got the biblade version of those propellers in that cart. I'm not going to bother with the tri-blades, basically because that build with the bigger props and the bigger, heavier frame, it's already going to be too heavy for indoor stuff, for like really, really good indoor stuff, and probably not quite powerful enough for outdoor stuff. I'm super interested to see what. It's a couple of sets of props. I already have the frame. I already have the motors, and so it's like a $10 experiment that I know that people want to see, and so I'm going to do it regardless. But I can already tell you that it's not going to be as good as the lighter weight stuff for inside, and then it's just more than likely not going to make enough power for outside. But we're going to do it. I'm going to use 802 33,000s just to get the absolute most power possible out of it. Also, like, those propellers are not much bigger, right? It's 30 millimeters versus 35 millimeters. So 12-ish, 12 and a half, I guess, ish percent bigger. Probably not enough, but we'll give it a shot. I guess I should also try those on 702s. They might be light enough. We'll see. I'll weigh them and we'll see. I wouldn't think 702 would be quite enough, though. But yeah, we'll do an experiment and see. But for the record, don't hold your breath. Don't like jump on that bandwagon and get a bunch of those bigger 65S or 65 Pro frames, because I can almost guarantee you that the extra weight, it's not going to be worth it. The problems that those 35 millimeter props solve don't exist is basically the deal. Going to a bigger propeller, you do because you want more efficiency, and we have enough efficiency on these guys, and the batteries are cheap, and the batteries are really quick to swap in and out. So yeah, it solves it doesn't solve any problems in the same way that like fractal frames, they don't solve any problems. They're just different. So like if you're just doing it for the sake of being different, cool. If you think it's going to do anything better, it's not. And you're just going to sit there in placebo of like, well, I just spent this money and spent all this time moving this thing over, so I'm going to keep trying to convince myself that it does X or Y or Z better, but it just doesn't. And so, yeah, watch out for that. The hype train is really good at like convincing us that like the newest thing is magically better, but in an awful lot of cases, it's not. Every once in a while it is. Every once in a while we get a new product in FPV that does improve things. But it's probably quite a bit less than 50-50 that like a new product is actually really better, not just like, oh, this is 0.01% better for one person out of 10, right? So yeah, careful with that. The hype train will steer you wrong probably more often than it'll steer you right. But we are going to try it for sure. RT McKinney says, hey. 661 says, have you seen and have you ordered the new Matrix AIO from Beta FPV? That seems like a possibly good AIO. I've seen it. I was just talking about it. Haven't ordered one. Beta FPV has been sending me some stuff here and there. And so I'm not going to spend the money on it. I'm also not going to spend the money on it because I'm afraid that the UFL port is just going to rip off, which I've had a bunch of issues with. And so, yeah, if they're willing to send me one, I'll go for it. But I'm not going to buy one. I'm actually on Instagram real quick here in my messages looking for Ellie. There's Ellie. Hi, Ellie. Are you looking for anyone to test the new Matrix? It's called the Matrix, right? Yeah, Matrix AIO. By chance, my chat has been asking about it, and I would love to do a build with it to compare to the HappyModel AIOs with plugs. See that? That's how you do it, my friends. That's how you secretly. There's a book. There's a super douchey book that is like incredibly popular in the sales world. Every like douchebag salesperson has this book at their cubicle. What's it called? How to something and convince people. How to people book. Hold on, let's see if that'll find it. There it is. How to win friends and influence people. That's it. Yeah. How to win friends. There you go. That's how you win friends and influence people. Don't buy that book. That book is just it's very manipulative. Don't be like that. Don't be manipulative. It's bad. It's not cool. Lewis says, did my 6 packs. Hell yeah, my friend. I flew my Walksnail 75mm 35 grams dry around a room a bit smaller than your basement after 4 months of sim only. Does that tell me good things about my flying prowess? It realistically it doesn't, because just flying around a room, I guess it does. Being able to fly a Cinewhoop inside, it's hard. It's hard as hell. You didn't say how many times you crashed. You didn't say how hard you flew it around the room. But like straight up, flying Cinewhoops inside the house is difficult. The end. So yes, being able to fly inside is a big step. There are quite a few really good pilots that don't fly Cinewhoops inside. Like 5-inch pilots that don't fly Cinewhoops in the house because of how difficult it is. So just being able to do that at all is an accomplishment for sure. There's the skill ceiling to doing that is super high. You can fly thousands and thousands and thousands of batteries inside the house with Cinewhoops, and the 1002nd battery you'll get better than the 1001st battery. It's really wild how difficult it is, and to start doing the momentum moves, the 3-dimensional moves, it's just ridiculously difficult. So yeah, that's why the 6 batteries a day thing is so sort of, I don't know if important is the right word, but you know what I mean when I say that, right? If you want to be able to rip inside the house, 6 batteries a day is the way, and it is kind of a requirement. You've got to put hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of batteries in to be able to do any of the stuff that you see me do inside the house. I've done that. I'm thousands of batteries in to flying Cinewhoops inside the house. I've put that time in, and that's why I can do what I do. I don't care how naturally gifted you are at flying FPV, it's ridiculously difficult, and you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort in to really get good at it. Luckily, putting that time and effort in is super fucking fun. It is super fun to fly Cinewhoops inside the house. You feel like a little mosquito that's like buzzing around, right? And so, in the process, it's super weird, right? Like there's these things in our lives that are very fun for us to do, but we still have to like kind of force ourselves. Sounds weird to say it like that, but yeah, sometimes you have to force yourself to have fun. Folks with mental illness will know exactly what I mean. In the depths of depression, one of the most frustrating things is that it makes you not want to do the things that you love to do. And it is absolutely maddening. And when you start to get a handle on your depression, you find awareness first, and you become aware of this. And you'll be in an episode, and you'll catch yourself, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm in a depressive episode. I need to stop doing the things that I hate to do, or stop working. and do things that I enjoy doing. And one of the super evil things is that the depression will continue to be so strong that you won't do it, and you'll just sit there in this weird place of like, I know I should jump on that simulator and spend a half an hour in one of the most amazing virtual reality driving motorsport things that's ever been created, but I can't, and I won't, and I'm not going to, and it's just so frustrating. But that's the work, you know. When folks that are getting their mental health, that are improving their mental health, talk about the work, that's what it is. It's getting your ass in that fucking sim rig and sitting there for a half an hour, and then unfortunately a lot of times you come out of it like, yeah, I know that was kind of fun, but you don't come out of it like better. Like, you don't just do that and then at the end of a half an hour you're like, great, I'm not in a depressive habit. You're still in it. You're still all the way in there, but you're a little bit out of it, and then you got to do something else. You got to go eat something that's healthy. You got to get rest. You got to do all of these other things to actually claw your way out of it. It's kind of like that forever, which is one of the other really frustrating parts about it, is that doesn't go away. You get to do that basically for the rest of your life. But you do it because, you know, you got to stick around for the people that love you. And yeah, there's a window into mental illness that you didn't ask for, but you're going to get whether you like it or not, because this live stream is more than just FPV stuff. It's real life stuff. And, you know, I've gotten so many messages from people over the years that have thanked me for actually talking about this shit. And so you're going to have to listen to it, because if I can help somebody, if I can help those of you that don't have it learn about it so that you can spot it in someone else, maybe a loved one that you maybe help not leave the earth, that was worth it, wasn't it? And or if you have it, me talking about it makes you realize that, like, hey, you're not all alone, which is another thing that depression is really good at convincing you, is that it's just you, and that the world would be a better off place without you. And it's just bullshit. Depression lies, but the lies are really powerful, and they're very hard to see through. So there you go, my friends. Himok says, oh, I just bricked the one ESC on Beta FPV 4-in-1 AIO. How'd you do that? Would you please help me locate the pins? Oh my God, I'm desperate for help. Wow, I have no idea. How did you brick it, though? In 8 years of doing this, I've never managed to brick an ESC. How did you brick it? If you're looking for the pins, you're going to have to get in touch with Beta FPV. That is, yeah, that is not common knowledge. Bricking ESCs is outrageously rare. So, like, where the pins are and which pin is which is, like, super not common info. You can try to look up the exact, you said 4-in-1 AIO, that could be the old one, that could be the new one, I'm not sure. But you can try to look that AIO up on Beta FPV's website, and there's a chance that they'll have a technical drawing of the top and bottom labeling out every single pin, but boy, do I doubt it. You're going to need to get in touch with them. Luckily, these companies will get back to you. Message them on Instagram or Facebook or all the above, and they will get back to you. But my main question is, how the hell did you brick it? I've done all kinds of dumb shit, and I've never been able to brick an ESC. I've always been able to just go back into BL Heli, Blue Jay, whatever, and reflash the ESC, and it will, like, unbrick whichever channel was previously bricked. So, yeah. CBFPV says, how does a 2-inch Cinewhoop pusher compare to motors up? I think it depends on each specific frame. The only situation that I've ever heard of where someone has tested both on the exact same frame, the exact same build, the exact same motors, is the QAVS, which Ryan Harrell designed. So in this specific frame, box frame, guards top and bottom, right? In this specific frame, the pusher configuration is 20% more efficient. I did not believe that, so I talked to Ryan about it, and he was like, yeah, I didn't believe it either. And we kept testing it over and over again. And every time we repeated the test, this specific frame was 20% more efficient setup as a pusher. What's cool is this frame is very easy to convert from puller to pusher. The camera cage up front here is symmetrical. So you can just take this camera cage and flip it upside down, flip the whole thing upside down, go into beta flight, reverse the motor direction, change the motor location. Yeah, you got to change the motor locations, and away you go. What Ryan and I both believe is that is specific to this frame. Each different frame is going to be a different scenario. Box frames are weird. Having this guard on the top and the bottom, and it's flat carbon fiber, which is not aerodynamic at all. This is a pretty shitty aerodynamic situation for the propellers. They've got a lot of garbage to try to pull air past and then push air through. So most other frame designs are much more aerodynamic from a motor and propeller standpoint. And what Ryan and I both think is that 20% would be much less, if not negligible, on most other frames. Especially like a regular, just like a regular open propeller arm, just sort of arm blocking the thrust frame. So there you go. That's all I can really tell you about that. What's fascinating to me about that is that the entire world of aeronautics, aeronautical engineering is the complete opposite of that, where you want to keep above the propeller completely clear of any obstructions. Because that is where the actual work happens. The work that a propeller does is that it pulls air. It doesn't actually push air. I mean, it does push air, but the air is just static. And so it has to pull that air down, right? The air doesn't want to move. So the work that it's doing is pulling that air down, and then down below the propeller, it just get it out. Just get it out of the way. We always think of thrust as that positive thrust, right? But in all of everything that I've seen about propellers and just the high and low pressure zones, everything says to keep the low pressure zone up above the propeller completely clear and free. So a regular helicopter, right, with the one main rotor, it's very efficient because above that one main rotor, there's no obstructions, and it very efficiently pulls that down, pulls that air down, and then it just get it out down below the propeller. But from a this seems right standpoint, right? In our brains, we with certain things that are surrounding engineering, we'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That tracks, right? We think about the thrust, right? We put the quad above our head, we hammer the throttle, and it pushes down on us, and we're like, oh yeah, that's that thrust. But we don't think about that low pressure zone up above the propeller, and apparently that's where all the magic happens. I think another example of that is the on airplane wings, they put the winglets up. They don't put the winglets down at the tip of the wing to manage the vortices, right? So they're putting that winglet up into the low pressure zone to have a barrier there. I think that's one of the other things that kind of show that in most cases, the low pressure zone is more important than the high pressure zone. But with quads, the aerodynamic situation that these things are in is absurd. It's a disaster. Like, aerodynamically, these things are a mess. But for having motors that will very accurately and with a lot of like authority and a lot of power and response time will take this thing and move it in any direction, this is how to do it, right? You put 4 motors, 4 propellers, and they control all 4 axes, all 3 axes. Well, they control 2 axes, pitch and roll, directly, and then the yaw axis is controlled by the centrifugal force, right? But yeah, quads are an amazingly accurate way to move, in our case, a camera around. But like from an efficiency standpoint and from like an aerodynamic standpoint, it's a disaster. And especially with like a box frame that's got like, you know, guards around the propellers on the top and the bottom, and then these standoffs that are going in there. It's just sort of a mess. And in those situations where you don't have a clean aerodynamic setup, all kinds of weird shit can happen. And that's that's what Ryan and I kind of think is the reason why that has that incredible 20% difference in efficiency. Wild. But on every single other build, it's probably a lot. Every single other frame design, it's probably a lot less drastic, and or I wouldn't be surprised if it's the other way around. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like an open prop design with just one single piece of carbon obstructing the airflow. I wouldn't be surprised if this is more efficient as a puller than it would be as a pusher. But that's based on nothing. That's just based on, you know, all of sort of the research in the world of aeronautics that I've seen by just Googling this stuff because I'm fascinated by it. You know, you always have to mount the motor that the propeller is connected to in some way, shape, or form, right? So when you do that research and they talk about how important it is for the low pressure zone versus the high pressure zone, they're testing that on things that have the motor mounted some way, and that is not aerodynamic, right? The best way to do it is to have the propeller just in free space, just magically turning with pixie dust. But obviously that doesn't happen. So yeah. Ugh, Sprite. Gross. Kevin J says, smash the like button, folks, because CiottiFPV has the coolest thumbnails ever. Thank you, dude. It's been actually really fun to spend a little bit more time on the thumbnails and play around a little bit more with lighting. I've missed. I in certain ways I miss photography. I shot still images for a lot of years, and I really did burn it out. But what I burned out was the image processing side. Spending like 4 to 8 hours in Lightroom all night, every night, was a terrible idea. But I had tens of thousands of images to get through, and I wanted to get through them. Typically of people autocrossing and at track days and other motorsports things. I wanted to get people those images because it's amazing to have stills of yourself railing around a racetrack in the car that you've, you know, put thousands of dollars into and lots of time and effort into getting tuned properly. And it also, you learn about what the car is doing dynamically. You'll see the car like pulling a tire up in the air, and you can kind of look at where you're at in the corner and learn things from it. So yeah. 661 says, also, have you seen the new Bind and Fly HappyModel Mobula 7 HD with the HD0 AIO 5 and the new RS802 25,000 kV motors? No, I haven't. No shit. HappyModel AIO 5 Mobula 7 HD. I mean, that makes sense. They're just putting a different frame and motors on the HD0 AIO 5 build. Very cool. That makes a lot of sense. I've not seen it though. Denzel the Terrible says, consumers like big numbers. Why would motor manufacturers underspec a motor? They're not doing it on purpose. I believe that HappyModel's method of measuring KV is closer to the real way of measuring KV than beta FPV. And so I think saying that HappyModel overspecs their KV is unfair. I think it's more fair to say that beta FPV underspecs their KV. And I believe it's because the two different companies just have a different methodology, a different thought process on how to calculate the KV. HappyModel calculates the KV running the motors at a much lower voltage than beta FPV. And so, yeah. But I don't necessarily know if there's like a thing that says like 100%, no matter what, this is how you calculate KV, right? Like there's no standardization. There probably is. I think it's the whole put 1 volt through it. I think the put 1 volt through the motor and then measure the RPM. I think that's the right way of doing it, but yeah, as with all things in FPV, there's zero standardization. Nobody cares about it. And so comparing anything but from one manufacturer to the next is damn near impossible. And you just got to kind of fly them and see how they perform to make your mind up, which is absolutely maddening. Ray's FPV says, was waiting for you to hop on this evening. Thanks for doing this so late on some days. You're certainly welcome. Yeah, tonight I changed from 8 to 10 to 10 to 12 Eastern because of the dance classes that I go to. Monday night, I would love to go back to 8 to 10, but Joshua's been streaming 8 to 10, so Monday is now back to 10 to 12. But the other thing is that 10 to 12 works really well for West Coast folks, right? So in California, my 10 to 12 streams are 7 to 9. And so for me to put on a show that like everybody in the US can enjoy, this really is the time slot, right? Like if I go much earlier than this, there's going to be people in California still driving home from work, even still at work, when the stream goes up. So yeah, the 10 to 12 slot, my main problem with 10 to 12 Eastern is that I am if I go long, it goes to 12:30, it goes to 1 a.m. But the bigger problem is that I'm wired at the end of these live streams. And it takes me at least a couple of hours to bring it down and be able to get any sleep. Although the pandemic just demolished my sleep schedule anyway, and I've always been a night person. And so yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. My brain comes alive, but in like before noon, I'm worthless. Absolutely and utterly worthless, regardless of whether I got 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours of sleep. It just doesn't matter. Before 12 o'clock noon, I can't function. I'm just worthless to the world. I don't come up with any good ideas. I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to die. In the afternoon, I start to like actually come alive, and then after dark is when I do all my best kind of work and thinking and whatnot. So yeah, this 10 to 12 Eastern time slot works pretty well for me. I feel bad for Maggie because most nights she has to go to sleep alone. But I try to get in there and get some sleep with her at some point. And then one of us has to get Azalea up at 5 a.m. And on the bus. And then we always get to sleep from like 6, sleep together from like 6 until whenever the first person, always Maggie, has to wake up. So yeah, it's not that bad, I guess. But I don't love that she has to go to sleep alone so often. But you know, there are couples that sleep in separate beds and or in separate rooms. So this is a lot better than than plenty of people out there. So it is what it is. Brandon's Baked Bean says driving instructor, drone instructor, dance instructor. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I've spent way more time as a driving instructor than everything else combined. When I started instructing through Fiverr, helping people fly better, I was like, man, this is fun. I really enjoy doing this, and to be honest, I'm really good at it. This last Sunday was the first time I ever instructed dance, and I was like horrified because this is the first time ever that I'm instructing something that I'm not like totally confident that I'm a fucking badass at. And so like I was horrified. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a mess. Like I'm nowhere near good enough to teach anybody this. Luckily, there's a lot of beginners in that class, and it went shockingly well. And it also like really hit me again that like I'm pretty good at it, just regardless. I'm just good at explaining things in a way that makes sense to people, and then explaining it in a different way that makes sense to everybody that didn't get the first way. And it's also super fun. It's really, really rewarding to see people figure shit out, and to be able to like give your knowledge to other people, to help them do something that's difficult or do something that's fun or have more fun or make some friends or like whatever. And so yeah, it's I'm a lucky guy. I'm very lucky to have had a life where it comes supernaturally to me. And yeah, it's a combination of just everything that's happened in my life, from like, you know, playing drums from a very young age to like performing quite a bit on stage with jazz band, with concert band, with marching band, with like all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, we are what we eat. Skessic says, finally convinced me, just joined your Patreon. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the gangliest of gangs. Whoever just bought some stuff on Beta FPV with my affiliate link, thank you. That was very cool of you. There you are. Is that you, David? David Wing, welcome to this Patreon. Thank you for supporting me. Much, much appreciated. What is, hold on, is this something FPV related? This is like one of the last orders I'm going to have done on Amazon. I'm really trying to get off of, I convinced Maggie to cancel Prime, and I'm trying really hard to not order anything on Amazon anymore. Boy, is it hard though. What is this? Okay, all right, good. So this is this, and then what the hell is this? These are Christmas presents. What is this? Oh, I know what this is. Yeah, all right, these are Christmas presents. All right, cool. You know, I didn't order any FPV stuff on there. You guys can't see those. It's just, it won't. There's no reason for you to see them. They're just random Christmas presents. Look at that. Flight Test extended their Cyber Monday deals. Anybody buy anything from Flight Test? Has anyone ever bought anything from Flight Test? Anyone out there? Mail delivery, donkey. Who typed their email address in wrong? Come on now. All right, cool. I think that's Afeel. Afeel says, my flight controller has a built-in SPI receiver. Could not bind it to my radio. Could I solder a separate ELRS receiver for the flight controller, or does that not work? It depends. If the flight controller has UARTs, then yes, you should absolutely be able to. And since it's a receiver, not a transmitter, you're totally okay doing that. When you have an AIO or a flight controller that has a VTX on it, it's a different story because that VTX is transmitting. So if you try to put another VTX on it, they're both going to be transmitting, and it's just not good. Also, the built-in VTX is going to get really hot. Brian Davis, thank you for the subscription, brother. But yeah, with a receiver, it's fine. You can leave that receiver on there and then hook up a second one. But spend a little bit more time. There's almost always, if it's ELRS, here's what I'll say. If it's ELRS, if you just keep trying, eventually you'll get it to bind. ELRS can be a real son of a bitch sometimes. If depending on the version of Betaflight that the flight controller is on, it might be ELRS 3.0 or it might be ELRS 2.5. So there's that to figure out. If you look up what the specific flight controller is, sometimes there's multiple different ways to put it into binding mode, so maybe you're not able to get it into binding mode. The built-in receiver could have, so in the case of like the Hummingbird version 3.1, the crystal oscillator on the ELRS is tuned a little bit differently, so there are certain modules that just won't work with it. So like that, in that scenario, yes, the internal is useless and you can put an external one on and now you'll be fine. But yeah, with ELRS, if you're having trouble binding, spend as much time as you possibly can trying to figure it out. Go to sleep, come back to it the next day or a couple days later, and spend all that time all over again. And you'll probably get it. If you don't get it at that point, yeah, maybe bail. Maybe come back a third day and spend a bunch more time, and then you might still get it. It's that annoying sometimes. They've made it a lot better, but there's still a lot of old school ELRS stuff out there that's still kind of annoying. So yeah, with Express LRS, if it's a Cinewhoop, the weight of an external receiver is going to make it fly noticeably worse. So like really try hard to get the internal ELRS working because it is really, really nice. Cheetonian says, looking at a lightweight 3-inch build, not wanting to go up to T-Motor 1404, looking at RC and Power 1303, is 6000 kV appropriate for 3-inch props on those motors? It depends on the voltage. If you're going to do 4S, then you're going to have to motor limit that down a little bit. If you're going to do 3S, then you can run that at 100%. So yeah, there you go. Ray's FPV says, I recently picked up a Vision 40 and in the first day fried the VTX, grinding up a houseplant, waiting on a replacement. Was wondering if I should replace the frame too. If so, what frame? No, the Vision 40 is a great build. It's pretty much all the right parts. The only thing that I would change about it is the slightly heavier TPU canopy. TPU is it's a heavy material. So yeah, but the Vision 40 is like good top to bottom, and I mean the canopy is not that bad. It's just a little too heavy. It's a little heavy. But yeah, I would leave it alone. Leave it alone. They did a great job with that. The brainchild behind the Vision 40 is Tyler Gruss. And he knows his stuff, and that's I attribute how good the Vision 40 is to just him, just spending the time, putting the effort in, and just knowing his stuff. So yeah, it's a really well spec'd out build. Cole Powers says CiottiFPV win friends, win friends. Curtis Hayes says, speaking of your early years, I watched your stacked table Matty flip this week, and it sounded like you had just been to a Rotor Riot Whoop camp. No, that was Quad Camp is what it was called. There's never been like a Whoop specific thing other than like the races with Whoops. Yeah, no, that was called Quad Camp, and it was something that Rotor Riot did that it's such a cool idea, but it's just impossible to make money from. It was a couple of $100. It was 2 days long. You would go. Rotor Riot would pay a bunch of professional pilots to host the event, and then you could spend the time building, flying, hanging. It was mainly surrounding like building better, learning to build better. Not necessarily learning to fly better though. And yeah, quad camp was really, really cool. I went to the second quad camp that they ever had, which was here in Atlanta. This was back when I lived in Charleston. And then I went to, they did a bunch of quad camps. I don't know which one it was, but then they did another quad camp at Joshua Bardwell's house. I met Joshua at the original quad camp. And then we messaged back and forth a bunch. When they did the quad camp at his house, he asked me if I could come and help them and like instruct and help people build and fly and all that good stuff, which I gladly did. And so, yeah, I did that quad camp, which was an absolute blast. And then they didn't have many more. I think they only maybe had like 5 or 6 or 7 quad camps. It was expensive. It was like $300 and something, I think, because you couldn't sell 100 tickets, right? You couldn't put 100 of us and then have enough instructors to like give each individual person any actual amount of time, right? So like it just didn't make sense financially. They could not charge the attendees enough money to be able to cover renting the location, paying all of the pro pilots, right? Flying everybody to this place, you know, because they had to have the quad camps all over the place. You couldn't have more than one in Atlanta because you only really needed to go to one of them, right? So they would have to have one in Atlanta, fly all the pilots there. They had another one in California, fly all the pro pilots there. Have another one in, you know, New York, fly, right? Like, it's just infinitely expensive to do it. Cool concept though, super cool concept. Rampage, on the other hand, they can have it in the same spot every time. They can have hundreds of people there, right? So but yeah, that was quad camp, and that was when that happened. Cole Power says, I think there's plenty of people who do 6 batteries a day. They're not do 6 packs a day. They're not pilots though. Yeah, that's true. Can you imagine smoking 6 packs of cigarettes a day? I don't think that's real. I've heard of like 1 or 2 packs a day, but I mean, if you're smoking 6 a day, you're dead by now. Jesus. You're also like jobless because you can't smoke that many cigarettes, I would assume, and do anything else. You would just be chain smoking from the moment you get up until the moment you fall asleep. Scrolling back up in chat because YouTube did the thing for no reason. Danzel the Terrible says, did you get the Cinesplore V2 up? Thoughts? No. No, I was... That build... I started on that build right before the election. And then the world lost its mind. And then... The thing with Wilder knocked me out for a couple of weeks, so it's just been sitting. I'm just now getting to a place where I can kind of function on Earth again, and a bunch of stuff has kind of piled up, but I will work my way through it, and I will get back to that for sure. But yeah, it's just been in a holding pattern along with a lot of other things, unfortunately. But you know, life comes first sometimes. This is my job, and your work is very important to you. But in my opinion, your work should never be the most important thing in your life. There should always be things that you are ready and willing to put before your job and before your work. I think that's a really important thing that in this country we seem to have completely forgotten about. You know, at the very least, your family should come before your work. It's so easy to just be like, yeah, but I need to make money for my family. look, like if you have a kid, and when that kid is 25 years old, they're not going to remember how much money you made. They're not going to remember that you were able this Tuesday to take them out to a slightly fancier restaurant. They're going to remember whether or not you spent time with them, right? And so, yeah, that's one of my least favorite things about capitalism, is that it really convinces us that work is everything, and like family can go to hell because I'm so busy working, right? Like that's so backwards. And I think that is a real epidemic in this country that, it ruins people. It ruins children. It ruins relationships. Like you can't be in a super healthy relationship where people are putting work before the other person. It just typically doesn't work. If it does work, typically there's going to be a good amount of frustration there, from one or both parties. So yeah, I don't know. J Monk says, I have an O3 Air unit. Is there an upgraded antenna that can be used on the unit to increase video range? I use DJI goggles too. Goggles 2 have linear antennas, I believe. And so I think it's not necessarily worth it to upgrade the antenna, unless you're going to also upgrade the Goggles 2 antennas to be circular polarized. Then yes, you want to go to a circular polarized antenna on the quad. And there's nothing specific. I mean, it's just 5.8. Well, doesn't the O3 Air unit use dual band? Does it use dual band in the way that the Vistas used it, where it would use 2.4 for the transmitter link and 5.8 for video? I seem to remember, I don't remember if it's O3 or O4 that is using full-blown dual band for video, where it switches back and forth between 2.4 and 5.8 on the video side. I'm 99% sure that the O4 system does that, and that the Avata does that. I don't remember if the O3 setup does, probably because I don't have anything with O3 yet, because it's been so expensive that I was like, I'm going to wait for the next generation, I think. Hopefully somebody in chat is backing me up right now with whether or not the O3 is dual band on the video side or just 5.8. If it's just 5.8 on the video side, then absolutely, you can get a circular polarized antenna, and that'll give you a little bit better performance. That moving to a CP antenna, circular polarized, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I remember looking this up, but I believe that going to a CP antenna on the quad, even if you're linear on the goggles, will give you a slight performance improvement. Going to a CP on your goggles and a CP on the quad gives you a significant improvement. So, yeah. There you go. Good question, J-Monk. Danzilla the Terrible says, I've done 10 plus hours a day of Photoshop this week. The grind is real. Yeah, I don't miss that, man. I drove that into the goddamn ground. 1B says, a good live stream idea would be that new Beta FPV Matrix flight controller versus the 2G4, like a Battle of the Bashers AIOs. Yep, that's pretty much exactly what I'm what I'm looking at doing. In the never-ending quest for the ultimate freestyle Cinewhoop, the Matrix flight controller, the Mobula 6 2024 flight controller, version 2 with the plugs on it, it's okay. I don't love that I ripped a UFL off of mine. That makes me super worried about it, so much so that I haven't bought another one of those AIOs. The Air65 AIO, and now the plug version of it is called the Matrix flight controller. It has the same problem with I don't know if the Matrix has the same problem. I bet you it does. But the Air65 flight controller has that same problem with the UFL. I assume that the Matrix flight controller is just that same thing, but with motor plugs. But maybe it's not. Maybe they've addressed that issue with the UFL. We'll find out. The 2G4, though, it's not that much heavier, and good God, is it durable. So, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I would like to get my hands on one of those Matrix flight controllers, though, because if it's lighter and if it's durable and if the UFL doesn't rip off of it, then that's the one. We can stop buying 2G4s and we can build a little bit lighter. So, yeah, that's the deal. Morton Upshot, what's up, brother? He says, who is this Johsua person you speak of? I knew of someone who used to stream by that name. My wife says he sounds like Big Ed from some reality show. I don't know Big Ed. Yeah, it's I am super happy that Johsua is streaming again on Sundays. But I think is Sunday the only day that he's streaming right now? I think it is. Somebody was just asking me the other day if I knew anything about the news, Johsua and Blunty's news, why they haven't done it in so long. And then I've moved my Monday night streams to 10 o'clock because a couple weeks ago Johsua streamed 8 to 10, and I was like, oh, cool, he's back. But then I think last week and this week he didn't stream Monday nights again. So I don't know. He has another gig that is really cool. That earlier this year and through the middle of the year, that's what was pulling him away. That's why there were the big gaps in his streams. But I know like that gig is like weeks at a time, like multiple weeks at a time. I've seen him do a couple of the Sunday streams in a row here, so I don't think, unless that gig has some more shortened up things going on. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. He's been super busy. We haven't really spoke in a couple of months. We used to speak quite a bit. But yeah, we just kind of keep missing each other. So I don't know anything. I don't know anything. But I miss watching Johsua before my streams on every Sunday and Monday. That I had there was a long time that I was able to do that, and that was really, really cool. And I miss that. I love Joshua's live streams to death. I love the folks that hang out in the chat. I love It's Blunty. It's just, it's amazing. And we got a lot of it. We got years of that, and we should be super happy about that and focus on how nice that was. And maybe it'll come back someday. Maybe it won't. But we're super lucky that we got so much of that, Levster says, have you seen the GPRC 1002 25,000 kV? I have. The last 2, maybe 3 live streams, we've talked about it. We've talked about them. The TLDR is 1S is not the right voltage for the power that we want from a 75 millimeter outdoor rig. So those 1002 25,000s might be a little bit better than the current 22,000s, but they're probably not going to be good enough. And 2S is the way for 75 mil rigs. So yeah, when they're available, I will probably get a set to test, but I'm absolutely not holding my breath. And I'm actually kind of looking to sell my 1S 450s. Because I don't think that there's... Look, 2S is just too good. The 2S 75 millimeter rigs are outrageous. And yeah, more power and more runtime. How do you not do that, right? How do you not go for that? Levster says Speed X2. Is that the name of the 1002 25,000? I think it is. Off Axis says, sorry about that in Secret Santa. Sorry about what in Secret Santa? By the way, off axis, how do I get my person's address for Secret Santa? I got the automated message, and I replied. I like kind of jokingly replied back to the message, "Hey Santa, how do I get my person's address? I know my person's name. I don't know how to get their address though." Bob Noxious is in the chat. What's up, homie? If you guys don't follow Bob Noxious, you're only hurting yourself. He is an inspirational dude, man. I have a special place in my heart for people that get stomped out in life and bounce back hard and say, you know what? No, life ain't gonna get me down. I'm gonna kick life's ass. And it's been really cool over the last this year to watch Bob Noxious just do all of these awesome things to get his mind and body right, and just come out swinging and kick life in the balls in response to life kicking you in the balls. I kind of went through that 3-4 years ago, and it's hard as hell, and it's really easy to just say like, yeah, fuck this. And so, yeah, it's super cool to see people just not let life get them down like that, and to fight back, and to, take a shitty situation and like improve your life on the other side of it, right? And to like bounce, I feel like our lives do this in some way, right? Like our lives do this, but like our lives kind of do this. And like when something really nasty happens, it's like one of these, and that can like really lead you down a long downhill, and or like flatten out and like I just give up. To see somebody have that big kick in the balls and then be like, fuck you, and do this, that's the inspirational shit. And so, yeah, super cool to see somebody in our community doing that. That's rad. Curtis Hayes says, O3 uses 2.4 for binding to the controller, and 5.8 is video per MadStack. Okay, I thought so. Cool. So yeah, going to a circular polarized on your O3 VTX on the quad will give you slightly better performance. To get even more of a performance jump, though, you're going to change the whip antennas on the goggles to CP. And that combination of circular polarized on the quad, circular polarized on the goggles, that's the move. And I believe there is a way, sort of plug and play, to do that. Do not quote me on that, because I don't have O3 goggles, but I'm pretty sure that there is a way to do that. Or I don't have O3 or O2 goggles. Goggles 2, rather, not O2. Cheetonian says, yes, O3 is 2.4 for radio, 5.8 for video. All right, good. Cole Power says, pretty sure mismatching linear and CP incurs a 3 dB drop, no benefit. That could be true. I seem to remember a slight benefit having CP on the quad. I think of it this way. I don't have any tiny whoops with linears left. All right. Pretend this is a linear. When you have a linear antenna on the quad and you're out flipping and flopping, eventually you're going to point the null of that linear antenna directly at yourself. And that's going to be the worst possible performance there. Whereas if you have a circular polarized antenna on the quad, it doesn't really care what direction it's in. This is a situation where, like, in testing, right? Like, if you were to test goggles and an antenna, in your testing, you're gonna point the linear antenna straight up, and then you're gonna point your goggle antennas straight up. So you're gonna have a best case scenario between the goggles and between the linear antennas. In the real world, we don't do that, right? We're flipping and flopping all over the damn place. So that's how I sort of think about it. Your on your goggles, you're not really doing much of this with your goggles, right? With the linear antenna on the goggles, you're pointing them straight up. So yeah, either the performance benefit from having that more 360 degree in all different directions antenna on the quad might offset the fact that you're mismatching a circular polarized with linear. That might be the situation. It's been so long since I figured this, since I read up on it. But yeah, the long and short of it is, in my opinion, if you can ever get a CP antenna on the quad, which does this, you really want to do that. The caveat here is you don't want to have a CP antenna right on top of the flight controller, as we found out with these Cinewhoops. If you're going to run a CP antenna, you got to get it away from carbon fiber, and you got to get it away from ground planes, big thick sheets of copper. And in order to do that, in order to put a CP antenna on a Cinewhoop and get it up here where this ORT micro V is, those antennas are heavy. They're like 1.2 grams, and that's too much for a Cinewhoop. So the micro V is the best sort of both worlds. You get it's like the micro V is just like a really good linear, like the best possible linear antenna, and it's really, really lightweight. So it's that, it's that balancing of all the different things. Skesic says, what happened to the 2S Vision 40? Do they not sell it anymore? Do they only sell it as 1S? Nope. For the record, we didn't really talk much about this, but there is some recent news about unusual machines that really has me not wanting to support Rotor Riot much anymore, if I'm completely honest. That's all I'll say about that, because I don't really want to dive into it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go to Rampage in 2025. We'll see. Wow, look, there's no 2S version anymore. What the hell? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Demo FPV says, analog 2S 75 build. What's in your build? I've got two of them at the moment for testing. One of them is an X12, and one of them is actually that HGLRC Spectre AIO that didn't work at all. Two of them in a row on 1S. But on 2S, it works just fine. So, yeah, that HGLRC Spectre AIO, even though it says 1S to 2S, no, it's 2S only. And so, yeah, I actually need to fly these a little bit more, because I think I've figured out which motors I like, but yeah. One of them is on T-Motor 1002s. The other, at the moment, is on sub 250 0803s. I like the 1002s better. I really like the RC and Power 1002s. But these things are awesome. Even like the 0803 sub 250 motors are my least favorite, but they still outperform any 1S 75mm setup we had by a huge margin. So yeah, 2S is really the way to go with 75mm outdoor Cinewhoops. It's just outrageous. Bob Noxious says, thank you. You're certainly welcome, brother. Thank you for fighting and just doing the hard thing. It's fucking hard. Life is rough sometimes. It is really hard to wake up every single day and just fight through it. Off Axis says, most of them have posted their address in that group channel. For Secret Santa address, if not, message me. All right, cool. Curtis Hayes says, DJI is typically left-hand circular polarized. True RC sells plug-in setup for Goggle 2 and GV2. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, for whatever reason, all of the digital systems are left-hand circular polarized. This is really important. It's less important if you're going to mix circular polarized with linear antennas, because it actually completely doesn't matter. But on digital systems, I was about to say on digital systems you should go left-hand circular polarized, but that's not true at all. If you have not invested in left-hand circular polarized antennas yet, don't, because you can always find an antenna that's right-hand circular polarized. So yeah, but that being said, digital FPV systems, all, if they come with antennas that are polarized, they are all left-hand circular polarized, which is super annoying. If you got them without antennas and you're gonna buy aftermarket antennas for them, don't do it. The only reason would be that maybe someday you buy something digital and it comes with a left-hand antenna that you can't use. But like, I wish to hell that I had never bought anything digital with an antenna. I wish I had always bought them without antennas and just stuck with right hand on everything, because then I would have 50% less antennas, because I could just keep one extra right hand circular polarized antenna in my toolbox rather than one extra right hand and one extra left hand. So yeah, but digital systems come with left-hand circular polarized. Curtis Hayes rightly pointing out, though, HD0 does not. HD0, what do the kids say? HD0 paid attention to the assignment and they stayed with right-hand circular polarized, which is awesome. But yeah, every other digital system, Walksnail, old school DJI, new school DJI, they all use left-hand, which is just silly. Curtis Hayes, you could argue that it helps if you go to fly with other people and there's somebody on analog, you being on left hand, it's going to make you shit on right hand a little bit less. But digital shits on analog so hard that it's really not going to matter. It's not going to make a difference. Curtis Hayes says that Cinewhoop antenna is linear. CP antennas will look like a lollipop because they are circular to make the polarization circular. Correct. Although not all antennas that look like circular polarized antennas are circular polarized antennas. I'm looking at you, Emacs. Emacs has an antenna that absolutely you would look at and be like, yeah, that's a CP antenna. But then when you break that thing open, it is anything but a CP antenna. So you can't always go by what the antennas look like. You have to read the description and see if it says that it is a CP or circular polarized antenna. Without getting too deep into it, a circular polarized antenna has a bunch of 45-degree angle little miniature antennas, sort of, in a circle in the head of the antenna, and it polarizes the signal, which helps when it bounces off of stuff, and it helps a lot with multipathing. A linear antenna does not multipath very well at all. CP antennas, so in like bandos or just anywhere, we get bounces from these antennas wherever we fly, other than long range. Although no, long range will still bounce. It makes a big difference with the multipathing. Coole Powers also says, I guess throwing a CP antenna on it is cheap and an easy way of avoiding the linear null. It's like having multiple linear antennas. Yep, that's a good way of thinking about it. Yep. It's like having a linear antenna vertical and then having another one horizontal. So that when you point one null at yourself, this antenna here is nice and strong. If you point this null at yourself, this antenna here is nice and strong. And that's kind of what they're doing with the... the having the little miniature 45-degree angle mini antennas, it's not really what's happening, but that's kind of what's happening there. You've always got a direct shot, in theory. They still do have a little bit of a null top and a bottom, but nowhere near as bad as the null that you get from a linear. Cheetonian says HD. We got that. Yep. Cheetonian and Curtis Hayes. Rybread says, I see that little whoop stand there. Did you set up that 3D printer? Thanks for the streams. I didn't. No, somebody sent this to me. I don't even know where this is. This is a total surprise. I'm sure that this is on Thingiverse somewhere, but yeah, this is a super cool little thing. Oh, nope, I put it on there backwards. Yeah, it's a very cool little stand, and it's modular. The top of the stand comes off, and they have a big wide version for 75mm rigs. Very cool stuff. Feel says, what 4-in-1 AIO would you recommend for a 75mm HD build with the HD0 Eco camera and VTX? I think I'm still digging the Beta FPV 12 amp, which has no USB port on the bottom. It allows you to run it in in frames that really pull the battery up high. So yeah, Beta FPV 12 amp F4 version 3 is, I think, my current favorite. If you ever go to 2S, that thing is going to be awesome. It's just, yeah, it's the one at the moment. Rybread says, I printed the same ones. Cool way to display them. Yeah, indeed. All right, cool. I'm caught up on chat. It only took an hour and 40 minutes. What did we say we were going to do? I'm going to fly this on the tri-blades and then swap it to the biblades and talk a little bit more about the HQ ultralight low-pitch tris versus the Gemfan 1210 buys. And then we're going to spin a couple of these motors up and take a look at the RPM that we get back in Betaflight. So let's do 2 batteries on this with the tris, and then we'll swap it over. We'll do another 2 batteries, and then we'll fart around with RPM, and then we'll wrap it on up. Teddy, you want to be on the stream? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you chewing on down there? Small dog. Answer me. Come here, buddy. There he is. There's the bad boy. Have you guys ever seen a badder dog? Don't chew on me. Don't lick me either. I wonder why he doesn't like when I pick him up and put him on the live stream. All right, you can go, buddy. Good dog. Oh, you have such a fat body. His head being so much smaller really makes his body look so fat. Here, hold on. Oh God, what was that, doggo? Let's rough this dog up a little bit together. Ready? Let's mess with. Let's play a game. It's called Beat the Dog. Come here, dog. Come and get beaten. Oh God. Get back here. Ah! Oh God. He's running laps, guys. He's running laps. Here he comes. No, don't eat that. Come here. Come on. Come on. Let the people see me beat you. Come get your beatings. Arr. Come get beatings. Come on. It's time for daily beatings. Come here. I don't have one of his toys. That's why he won't. Look, it's a toy. Look. That's a terrible idea. He's going to eat those propellers. Oh well, we tried. Oh God. Can't say I didn't try. You guys probably can't hear me from down there anyway. All right. Here we go. Battery into the Air65 Champion. And we are going to rail these new HQ ultralight propellers. That's what the doggy wants. He wants quads to destroy and sniff. He doesn't destroy them. He just sniffs them. Alright, here we go. Here we go. What is happening at the top of the screen? What's the deal there? Is this thing always like that? Go away when I arm it? No. What is that about? Let's see if it's doing it in the goggles, too. In the goggles, the top of the screen looks normal. So that's the 5917. Do I have this VRX set to the wrong channel, maybe? It needs to be 5917. Let's see. 5917. No, that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. No, now it's fine. Okay. Weird. Weird. Whoa! He's pissed off tonight. Whoa! He hit it. Wow, he's never hit it before. That's a new one. Yeah, little boy. That little mouth. All right, HQ tri-blades. Enough screwing around. Ooh, I'm feeling saucy as fuck tonight. Oh God. Ooh. All right, it's gonna be a crashy kind of night. But isn't that every night, Ciotti? Yes. But in the process of crashing a lot, we're gonna do some sick shit. Woo! Ooh! Woo! Oh, so close. Oh God, no! In the table. Whoa! That was actually crash recovery getting a little bit confused. Oh! Oh my God! Rejected twice in a row! It's like back in college. Here we go! Man, I'm not having any luck getting through that gate. Whoa, Teddy! Nope. Again! No! Come on, yo! What's happening? No! What is going on? I can't get it. I give up. I'll do something else. Jesus! Oh! Okay, the Ciotti loops are not happening for me tonight. The Pentagon gate. Somebody left a comment. They're like, "Hey, dummy, it's Pentagon, not Octagon or Septagon or whatever the hell I was saying last time." Probably should not say Pentagon on YouTube. Ugh! Alright, HQ Ultralight Tri-Blades, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. This rig be eating some batteries. Levster says that's also on the Air65 too, the screen tearing. Interesting. It's fine in my goggles, but, you know, these are fancy goggles. I mean, they're normal goggles. It's a fancy receiver module. That was a gold markered battery. Let's try this red markered battery. I think this is a little bit newer, a little bit fresher. It is. This is a Weebleed battery now. This has only been cycled like once or twice. So this is like basically a brand new battery. Let's see what kind of runtime we get here. Here we go. Oh God, what? Yeah, there it is. Woo! My God. This is a bind and fly, guys. This is a bind and fly with a propeller swap. Although the propellers it comes with are completely fine. Actually, the propellers it comes with make even more thrust. There we go. Anybody watch Recursion Labs? Every single time I say the word thrust, I want to say thrust! There's a YouTuber, Recursion Labs. He hasn't made anything in a while. But he's done a bunch of micromotor bench testing. and he says thrust in a funny way. He does it on purpose. Woo! My God, man, this thing is so good. Hey. It has that little bit of extra power that we've been putting into the Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoops for a while now. But this is like the first bind and fly that's been like this overpowered, and this level of overpowered is so much fun. Yeah, the Pentagon to Gemfan cube loop. Oh, Teddy, I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't think you'd be there. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a rat's fat ass. Look at him. Look at him. Go for it, buddy. Go for it. Give it a good bite. Give it a bite. Yeah. Get you some, doggy. Oh, God. You teach that quad who's boss. Oh, God, don't hit the power switch again. I got to put a little cover over the power switch back here. Although, I think the only reason that the Hisingi rig was able to hit the power switch hard enough to actually flip it is that it's just kind of heavy. I don't think like a regular Tiny Whoop would hit that power switch hard enough. Whoa, Teddy! Teddy! Woo! He's blowing a hot breath on this on the camera lens. Woo! Woo! All right. Oh wow, it ate this battery in just as little time. Where was that? That was a interesting crash. Whoa! Oh, that's the invisible gray double helix thing. Whoa! Hey, buddy. Oh God! Ooh. Hey! Ooh. Whoa! 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 Hey! 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 Oh God! Oh, I went in between them. I wish that was on purpose. I wish I was that good. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I ran the battery down pretty low. It's bouncing back up to 3.6. Nope, it's done. I was about to say, it's going to bounce up to 3.65. Nope. Although, wait, no, it did. I just saw 3.64. So, yeah, this battery will bounce up okay. I didn't run it that far down. All right, so those are the tri-blades. We're going to move this over to the bi-blades and see what's what. Man, this thing flies good. Ooh! Yeah, it is a crime that they're not making more of these. I hope they do. I really do. The regular Air65 is totally fine. Don't get me wrong. But this is the one. If you don't want this much power, you just motor limit it down and all is right with the world. The regular Air65, like, you're not going to motor limit it down. You're going to leave it exactly where it is, which is 100%. And it kind of is what it is. This just has that extra little bit of ass that, you know, you really want. Hey! Get! Shit. Is this props in or props out? I forgot to look. Let's throw a battery on it and arm it real quick. Oh, man, I'm kind of feeling it tonight. I'm flying decent. All right, let's see. Come on. Armed. Props in. Fantastic. All right. So, schnauzer, no schnauzing. Denzel the Terrible says you could 3D print a cover of that power switch. I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. This guy is motor 4. And then we've got props in, motor 1. Curtis Hayes says the Champion Edition isn't sold anymore. Limited Edition sold out. Is it just swapping out the motors? Pretty much. Yeah, the Champion Edition is just higher kV motors. It's the motors that they should be putting on all of the Air65s. And then just, if you don't want to have a mass production rig with motors that are this powerful. Just motor limit them down. The people that don't know anything won't know to turn the motor limiting up, and then you're good to go. I don't understand this this thing with like, we don't want people to have powerful bind and fly. I mean, I guess I do, but I don't know, man. Motor limiting, come on. Most people will never realize it's there, and they'll just go about their lives. And then those of us that are ultra nerds, we know it's there, and then we don't have to buy another set of motors, you know? And guess what? You're going to sell a lot more binding flies that way. You know what I'm saying? Biblades are on. Let's take... Whoop, there's already a battery in it. Let's see if I can tell the difference. Should be able to. I hope I can. Let's see if the runtime changes. The runtime was very similar between those two batteries that I flew. I'm going to try to be as insane. What? Look at that little face. Oh my god, I'm going to destroy it so that nobody else can enjoy it. Whoa, this feels way different. Hold on. Something's going on. Look at all that. Look at that. Wow. Ooh, it's a pid loop thing. Hold on. Hold on. Something's happened. Something has happened. Let me spin each motor up individually in turtle mode and see if I can figure out what's going on here. Nope, that seems okay. These are not fresh props. Spin them up slowly. Okay, so motor number 2 is vibrating pretty good. As is motor number 4. Let me throw 2 fresh propellers on here on motor 2 and motor 4, just to make sure that these aren't banged up and out of balance. Hang on one second. That's that prop bag there. And then if that doesn't help, I'm going to back the tune off a little bit, because at the moment this thing is upset, and that is gonna, so this battery is out the window. The PID loop was overactive there, and it was trying to speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down the motor, 4,000 times a second, and that eats the battery. There's no better way to discharge a battery as quickly as possible. So let's see here. We're gonna grab 2 right side high 1210 biblades and swap them on and see if that makes things any better. Right side high and right side high. It could just be that the HQ props are better balanced. That could totally be the case. All right, fresh 1210s on motors 2 and 3. Let's see if that changes anything. Here we go. Not disarmed. Okay. Back up, little boy. Back up. Back up. Whoa, Teddy. Wow, no. What the hell? All right, hold on. Ooh, it feels horrible right now because the PID loop is heating the motors all up. Let's back the tune off a little bit. Oh, this has that. This is running this pre-baked in tune for the 1219S's. Interesting. Oh man, it's not even an aggressive tune. What the hell? Hold on. Let's try that and just see. No. Something's going on here. Oh my god, it feels awful. Let me just run the rest of this battery. What is happening? At this point, I kind of have to put the other props back on it. Oh yeah, it is unfucking happy. Whew. Oh, God. Well, now it's a little bit better right now, but the battery's all sagged down. Oh, God, yeah! Still ran for 1:40 with the PIDs freaking out. Wow, super weird. What is going on with you, little buddy? What happened when I switched those propellers out? Huh. Teddy Slobber had to burn off, yeah. I mean, you never know. Okay, hold on. Let me just take a little look around here. See if I can figure anything out. Put that battery back in it. Let me I didn't spin it up with these props on it. Let me spin it back up with these two fresh props, and this will tell me if the motors are out of balance or if the props help. Motor 1, it's not vibrating at all, but there's this like weird high-pitched sound. It almost seems like one of the bearings might have blown up or something like that. I'll know when I put the other propellers back on. Listen to this. Listen to like the... You hear that? Like... That doesn't sound right. Oh, no, the motor shafts are bent. Yeah, so the props were fine. The motor shafts are bent. I might have bent one of these motor shafts when I was pulling those props off. The fresh propellers did not help at all. I have crashed this thing pretty good. Interesting. Okay. At this point, the intelligent thing to do is switch back to the HQ props. And for a change, I'll do the intelligent thing. All right. I'm going to be super careful taking these props off. And did anybody happen to catch the RPM difference between these two? Although I can tell you for absolute certain that this rig is making way more power on the HQ props, but that's because these vibrate. That's because the PID loop is freaking out with these 1210 biblades on it. And when the PID loop freaks out, the motors get hot and make significantly less power. Come on, get in there. All right, super carefully remove those props. Now we're going to put these HQ Ultralight tries back on. And we'll see what's going on here. Let me make sure that these are the 0.9 pitch. They are indeed 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. Okay, so. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I would think that I would have noticed this when I previously moved these from the 1210s to this propeller. I'm super weirded out that I didn't. That's what makes me think that I might have bent one of these motor shafts when I was pulling those props off, or on one of those crashes in those first 2 batteries we flew. Okay, back on exactly as it was a minute ago. I'm going to take this extra battery that I have here, and we're going to see what's going on. Here we go. Teddy came a-running. He heard the beeps and came on running. There he is. Oops. Wow. No way. It's fine. The Gemfan 1210s are just not as well balanced. I did not expect that. Wow. I mean, I will say this. Propellers are the one thing in FPV that legitimately gets significantly better as time goes on. And this is a brand new propeller. The Gemfans have been around for a long time. And so it's not that surprising that these are better balanced. If Gemfan made a new version of the 1210, in theory, it would be this well balanced. Wow, dude. Like, I mean, you guys saw it. You guys could see the oscillations when I was moving the throttle up and down on the 1210s. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to a completely fresh set, absolutely brand new set of 1210s. And we'll see if that makes a difference. What is happening right now? Where am I stuck? Oh, God, he tried to get me. Ah, who's getting who, Teddy? I'm getting you this time. Oh, man, this battery got eaten in a minute and a half. Oh, nope. Oh, God. Little dog. We almost got to 2 minutes. 51. Wow. What the hell? Okay. Levster, thank you for looking that up. When you say 1216S, I think you mean the biblades, right? They're 1210, non-S. 55,000 versus 56,000. But boy, the biblades were just a mess, and they felt awful. The biblades felt terrible in comparison. Okay, we're gonna go to a completely fresh set of 1210 biblades. I will not be heartbroken if the Gemfan biblades are not like the hot prop on this setup. I don't, you know, we've had them for a long time. They've been the best prop for a long time. It can't last forever. Didn't HQ make a biblade? Didn't I test? Yeah, here they are. There's even oh shit. I forgot about these. We tested them and they felt awesome. We got to put these on more. We got to put these on more stuff. I have this on the HD0 rig. Okay, we might do a proper propeller smackdown stream. Okay, totally brand new set. Let me remove these.